Read the fifth order of the day.
Debate on Vote 3, Provincial Treasury, Western Cape Appropriation Bill.
Thank you, Secretary. I now see the Minister of Finance, the Honourable Minister Ivan Meyer.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Madam Speaker, the vision of the Provincial Treasury is good financial governance, and Provincial Treasury, to execute that vision, is allocated a budget of 357.3 million rand for the 2019-20 financial year. This represents a 17.42% increase over the 2018-19 revised adjusted estimates budget. Good governance delivers in the Western Cape. This approach has set the Western Cape province apart from the rest of South Africa. Our good governance record is proof of it. The Provincial Treasury will therefore continue to drive good financial governance in this province. A good financial governance grant of 30 million rand is introduced in the 2019-20 financial year to reward good performing municipalities. The objective is to embed a culture of adherence to good financial governance practices as well as optimal performance within the local government sector. This grant will incentivize and support excellence in good financial governance practices and optimal performance, culminating in improved service delivery and creation of public value. In addition, Honourable Speaker, 15 million rand is allocated over the 2019 MTEF to increase the technical capacity within the Provincial Treasury's infrastructure unit for infrastructure development. The aim is to give effect to this government infrastructure-led growth strategy. Speaker, as highlighted during my main budget address, the Western Cape government fiscal strategy has enabled the province to create a long-term financial plan to support an infrastructure-led growth strategy, resulting in an additional investment of 6.8 billion rand over the 10-year period up to 2028-29. Given that the province plans to spend in excess of 28.6 billion rand on infrastructure over the MTEF, the Provincial Treasury Infrastructure Development Unit will play a pivotal role in ensuring that this government's objectives are met. Speaker, the 2019-20 departmental budget is therefore allocated as follows: for administration, allocated an amount of 58.8 million to provide the strategic direction and to provide quality financial and other support services. Speaker, the continuous provision of the Provincial Financial Capacity Building Program is aimed at improving financial skills within the public sector by creating a pool of talent from the Provincial Treasury and other provincial departments and municipalities that can recruit from this pool. Honourable Speaker, the youth, key focus of this government, as also from the main budget, but also from the various budget votes here in this province, and also thank you to all the members of the various chairpersons of the various committees that supported investment in the youth. The Provincial Treasury Bursary Program have appointed 124 bursary graduate interns since 2012. 7 interns are currently permanently appointed in the Provincial Treasury. 1 intern has been permanently appointed at Mossel Bay Municipality, and 22 have been appointed in other various departments. In 2019-20, a further 12 pay interns will commence duty on the 1st of April next week, and 11 new graduates, of which 10 have already commenced their internships since the beginning of this month. Under the auspices of the Office of the Provincial Accountant General, the Provincial Treasury launched the Chartered Accountants Academy in 2015. The goal of the Academy was to contribute to the long-term pipeline of the finance professionals in the public service. As part of the pilot intake in the province, the Chartered Accountant Academy onboarded 6 trainees in 2016, all of whom met the core requirements of the training contract and have successfully concluded their articles in February 2019. 5 of the 6 have taken up full-time employment, 3 in the public sector and 2 in the private sector. Madam Speaker, we are pleased that the Academy has produced its first chartered accountant in this government for public sector accountants. Madam Speaker, his name is Kabelo Mafiro, and he has since taken up a full-time employment in the public entity in the Western Cape. Can you please stand? I think this is a great investment, and thank you for your wife that also joined you and supported him. We, 6 million people of this Western Cape, is proud of this man because he's the first public sector accredited chartered accountant in the history of South Africa. A further 11 trainees are currently in the system, and we hope to increase the number over time, and many of them are also in the gallery. A provincial treasury has concluded an evaluation of the academy, and the evaluation confirms that the academy has been appropriately designed and is effective in terms of achieving its mandate. This also creates a sound basis for institutionalizing this very important initiative. The provincial treasury is also investigating the piloting of a partnership with municipalities to extend the footprint of this public sector Chartered Accountant Academy. Honourable Speaker, the Nedbank Provincial Treasury in the Western Cape Education Department essay writing competition for grade 11 learners was introduced in 2008-09 and has since attracted entries from across the province. The aim of the essay writing competition is to provide learners interested in studying economics, accountancy and mathematics the opportunity to access bursaries in the fields of commerce, and in so doing address the scarce skills in these particular sectors. The competition offers grade 11 learners in this province who take a combination of economics, mathematics and accountancy as subjects the opportunity of obtaining bursaries to further their studies in these fields at an accredited university. Between 12 and 15 bursaries as well as cash prizes as financial assistance during their grade 12 year are awarded to learners who intend obtaining a degree in a specified field. A total number of 108 bursaries, 74 females and 34 males have been awarded since the inception of this competition. We would like to thank and acknowledge those who have collaborated with us to ensure the success of these initiatives, particularly our colleagues from Nedbank and the Department of Education. I've been there myself. I've seen the quality of the learners, outstanding quality, and I'm particularly happy for this great partnership with Nedbank. In line with the principle of sustainability, sustainable resource management is allocated an amount of 166.3 million rand. This is to ensure the effective management of provincial and municipal budgets. This includes the following: the further support to the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board, mainly due to the loss of the limited payout machines, LPM, operator fees, and the provision for a once-off payment which relates to the repayment of the limited payout machine operator fees of 37 million rand. Priority funding allocations are also ring-fenced in this budget. Honourable Deputy Speaker, for improving financial governance, 22.8 million is set aside for financial management support grant. 4.8 million is ring-fenced for municipal interventions to assist in strengthening their support interventions together with my colleague, the Minister of Local Government. There's also a capacity infrastructure support in delivering infrastructure. The unit will also get 5 million rand. Speaker, asset management, very important in this government, is allocated an amount of 65.7 million rand. This is to provide policy direction to facilitate and enforce the management of provincial financial systems, supply chain, movable assets within the provincial and municipal spheres. Key objectives of delivery are the following: improving procurement policy, planning to support departments, municipalities, and to promote budgeting, planning, efficiency, and spending. Also supporting the development and implementation of an economic procurement in conjunction with other departments, and particularly Department of the Premier of the province that speaks to SMME development through the utilization of procurement as a lever. Financial governance is allocated, that program is allocated an amount of 66.4 million rand. The purpose is to promote accountability and financial governance in departments, entities, and municipalities in the Western Cape. The budget makes provision for the following: continuous provision for the Chartered Accountant Academy, aimed at creating a pipeline for public sector accounting professionals, priority funding allocations that are ring-fenced for capacity building support, financial management capacity grant of 11.39 million, as already mentioned, Honourable Speaker, also 10 million rand, 30 million over 3 years for the Good Financial Governance Incentive Grant. Honourable Speaker, in order to achieve its planned objectives, the Provincial Treasury has allocated its budget of 357.3 million as follows: Program 1, 58.8 million, Program 2, 166.3 million, and Program 3, 0.7 million and Program 4, 66.4 million. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Mayor. I now see the Honourable Member Joseph.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise as a Standing Committee on Finance and Chairperson and of the DA caucus to support vote 3. Speaker, the Western Cape Government, under the leadership of Premier Jan Zille, put together a competent cabinet. Dr. Ivan Meyer was given the responsibility to serve in his capacity as Minister of Finance to lead the Provincial Treasury as an executive member. An additional responsibility, namely the portfolio of international relations, is attached to the Ministry of Finance. Speaker, I had the privilege to attend some of these international diplomatic engagements. These engagements contributed immensely to the fostering of international relations on many fronts, in particular drawing investors to the Western Cape, as well as creating international export opportunities for the Western Cape through business opportunities via Westgrow. Speaker, dit is in die demokratiese land waarin ons woon, 'n stelsel van goeie regering wat benodig word. En hierdie stelsel word ondersteun deur goeie leierskap. Leierskap met 'n visie, leierskap in 'n DA-regering, in 'n provinsiale regering met entiteite sowel as munisipaliteite en diensverskaffers en organisasies wat die Weskaap se begroting ondersteun. So 'n eienskap van 'n goeie regering is om 'n goeie leierskap te hê en ons het dit in die DA-regering. This vision of the DA in government is transferred into an annual performance plan with an approved budget plan. This plan includes financial and non-financial targets. Speaker, this leadership in the Provincial Treasury and the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board is of the highest professional standard and quality. Producing quality presentations, budget books, financial forecast based on evidence-based practices and research contributed to the members' administrative capacity as well as the understanding of financial management in government. Included in Provincial Treasury Annual Performance Plan is the 2014 to the 2019 Strategic Plan. This refers to the DA Government Open Opportunity Society. Also included in the Annual Performance Plan is the National Development Plan. This is the policy mandate of the provincial government and provincial treasury that is adopted, although it is a national government plan. And one of the aims of this national development plan is to build a government that is accountable to its people. And I think it's by time that the ANC, this reckless ANC, that this knows corruption and mismanagement and abuse of state money for personal gain, must again go and read their own national development plan to understand it. Provincial Treasury is faced with difficult tasks, preparing the budget and appropriating sufficient allocations to each department in the province within the fiscal policies without prejudice. It then needs to promote transparency, ensure effective management of revenue and expenditure of provincial departments and entities. For the 2019 financial year, Provincial Treasury, as the Minister said, has been allocated 357.3 million to execute their functions. And here I must note that the staff in this Provincial Treasury exercise their duties across the province by travelling regularly to municipalities and to government departments. It must further intervene and investigate matters of financial concern within municipalities and these departments. Ironically, these tasks have become increasingly difficult as the National Treasury is busy with service debt as its main form of work because of the ANC's bad policies. Within the ANC that put our coffers under pressure where the money could be better used for public value. The public entity in the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board, will again receive the necessary funding from Provincial Treasury. In this financial year, we also note that the new office is almost completed, and we want to thank the Provincial Treasury and the Minister for pursuing on this point. The Gambling and Racing Board also have responsibility to ensure that the industry remain socially responsible by encouraging and supporting social corporate investment initiatives for the benefit of the poor communities. Speaker, for the record, the Standing Committee on Finance recently rejected the proposed amendments of the National Gambling Bill. These bills that were proposed in the interest of ANC leadership, and it is very clear that it didn't work this time because three out of the provinces in the ANC supported the DA, which means 4 ANC provinces rejected the bill supporting the Western Cape, which means that bill and 2 provinces were absent and the bill could not even be passed. It's been referred to the next parliament. I support sub-program 2 and sub-program 3. We support all the allocations as referred and mentioned to the departments and to the Treasury as mentioned by the Minister. A further responsibility of the department is to promote the values of the Western Cape government in showing responsiveness and caring to the most deserving departments and people that are pro-poor. This is done through a competent administration when it allocates the funding for training, internship programs as mentioned by the Minister, and making sure that programs are effectively implemented. The department takes care of skills development and financial capacity. Speaker, the Provincial Treasury thus offers a viable plan for the 2019 budget, hence my reason for supporting vote 3. We are dependent on taxpayers' money, and through SARS, National Treasury, Provincial Treasury, we will ensure that this budget is the budget for the people. In conclusion, I would like to thank the Minister for his leadership. I would like to thank the members of the Standing Committee on Finance, including the opposition leaders, in specifically Member Beerwinkel and Member Ace, for their assistance, for their guidance in promoting these values and overseeing plans of the department throughout the term. I commend all staff in Provincial Treasury, particularly our HOD, Mr. Zakaria Hussain, our DGG, Deputy Director General, Mr. Harry Malila, all senior staff, and all the staff in fulfilling their role in achieving good financial governance in our province. I also would like to thank all members in the various respective committees that Provincial Treasury has dealt with, including the Western Cape Provincial Parliament support staff and the members in the staff in the Ministry of Finance. Speaker, I take this opportunity to thank all the coordinators who have served this Committee of Finance over the last 5 years. This high standard of work in the administration include Diane Coronje, Dr. Anneke Clark, and Samise Jones, the current coordinator. Your service is highly appreciated. Speaker, I think in the absence of Member Ferlin Christians, I would like to take this opportunity just to mention the committee of SCOPA. I think it's one of the committees that is not mentioned as part of the 14 committees. And I would like to thank Dustin, the coordinator of SCOPA, and all the staff that served SCOPA and assisted us in this committee, Member Chacham, and in particular the chairperson, Member Ferlin Christians, in his absence. We would like to thank them for their service and their contribution in making this government a good government serving the people of the Western Cape. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Member Joseph. I now see the Honourable Member Beerwinkel.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, in this graveyard session, I don't really want to say much. I've said over the years, I've said so much to MEC and to the Department of Treasury. There's nothing really much more I can say to them about what I think about the work they've done, how I appreciate the work that they've done. Maybe today I just want to touch on a few things that I'd like to remind you about, advise on going forward because I will not be here, but also for you and your monitoring systems that you have in place. Beside you being the allocator, if I can use a very simple word, of the budget, or distributor of the budget to the other 14 departments, your transversal role is of such an importance that it cannot, one does not have enough words to explain just how important and how difficult your role is. You have to distribute and you have to monitor. You have to train, you have to monitor. You have to supply, you have to monitor. So monitoring seems to be that core word amongst you. But we also need to take
Honourable members. You may proceed, Member Beerwinkel. I saw that.
Thank you. Speaker. Speaker, the big blue book that gets put in front of us, the Treasury doesn't suck that information out from the air. It comes from somewhere. And it comes from the Division of Revenue Bill. This book is their Bible. And it's supposed to be our Bible too. And so it becomes quite disconcerting when grandstanding happens about an instruction that is given regardless of who the national government is. It could be the DA one of the days. It could be. They're dreaming of that. But if it is, and the different spheres that, and I'm saying spheres, not levels, to whom they then distribute the funds, cannot grandstand about the projects that they then implement. Because this book tells you, equitable share, you can give. Equitable share is distributed via Treasury. Conditional grants is distributed via Treasury with a distinct instruction, Speaker. And I'm going to make a simple example. If MEC Meyer gives me R1 million, he writes me a note and he tells me, I'm giving you R1 million. But of that R1 million, I want you to take 100 rand, 1,000 rand for instance, and go and buy chocolates for each and every street person out there. And I go and do that. Can I now grandstand that I have given, Carol has given chocolates to the people? Yes. Or is it MEC? Is it the MEC who gave me the money? Is it
Order, please. Order, please.
You are missing the point completely. You are missing the point completely.
Oh, Minister Madikizela, order, please.
Never mind whether it's who. We all know it's taxpayers' money. That sing-song, we must now stop. The money doesn't fall out of the air. We all know it's taxpayers' money. It's taxpayers' money that you receive. It's taxpayers' money that you distribute. It's taxpayers' money that you do the projects with that you do. Let me remind you what I'm talking about, because you maintain that you know what you're talking about, and I'm going to prove to you that you don't. On page 8 of this book, Speaker, it spells out chapter 3 and section 7 speaks about conditional grants to provinces. 7A says B. Part A of Schedule 5 specifying specific purpose allocations to provinces. Then you go to that specific page. On page 50, it says specific purpose. Remember I said specific purpose allocations to province. Human settlements. What does it say? Title deed restoration grant. Specific purpose. Listen. To provide funding for the eradication of title deeds registration. Where did the money come from? From national taxpayers' money. I'm not disputing that.
Order, please.
That. The point is, national government gave taxpayers' money to the Western Cape to carry out a function. They were told to do it.
Order,
so
please.
So don't grandstand. It's
Members,
not you.
I have
grandstand.
Members.
You have an instruction. It's an
Honourable
instruction.
members, I have it.
It's an instruction. You have to carry it out. carry it out.
Order,
Nobody's
please.
talking about stealing.
Honourable
Nobody's talking about
members.
anything. The point.
Let there be a condition. I have a duty to protect the speaker on the floor. That is unconditional from my perspective, Honourable Mitchell. So, yes, interjections are allowed, but can we please afford the member the opportunity? Honourable Magaka, it's quite interesting because normally the howling comes from this side of the House. So maybe just seeing it coming from the other side is a little bit painful. You may proceed, Honourable Bierwinkel.
Speaker, they can howl as much as they want about stealing and whatever. The point is, a conditional grant has a specific purpose. And it is given to them for a specific purpose. It's not their initiative. That's the point I'm making. They stand and say, the DA did this and the DA, it's not their initiative. It's a specific purpose. So stop your nonsense about lies and stealing and all of that. I'm talking facts here. These are facts. These are facts. Excuse me.
Order,
Excuse me.
please. Minister Madikizela.
Can I please read you what this
Member
book says?
Bierwinkel, can you take your seat, please? Members, there's questions, but we cannot, Member Davids, I'm speaking,
The truth
please.
hurts.
We cannot engage with questions across the floor whilst
I do know,
there
you
is
don't.
someone. Honourable Magaka, maybe you should continue reading your book. Oh, shame, man. Okay. So please, the member's reading his book, and it keeps him focused and calm. Thank you. You may proceed, Member Bierwinkel.
I want to emphasize some more points about this conditional grant, Speaker. What is the purpose of that goal? The strategic goal is the eradication of security of tenure and wealth.
That's unnecessary, Member Davids.
To provide for the funding of the eradication of pre-2014 title deed registration. Pre-2014. So what is this? Government is saying, we did not do it. We are giving you the funds to do it. Not your initiation. Not your initiation. Not yours. Not yours. I'll leave it there.
Order, please.
I've made my point. I've made my point. I made my point.
Order. Minister Madikizela, you are allowed interjections, but not a running commentary, please. Kindly compose yourself.
Speaker?
Thank you. Honourable Magaka, I gave you some good advice. Thank you.
I want to remind Treasury about some of the important things that they function on. Their mission to enhance accountability, create public value, enabling deliveries, quality services, capacity building, public sector finance, promote accountability within departments and municipalities. And I want to stick with municipalities and this thing that's called citizenry and whole of society issue that the DA keeps talking about. Public participation does not exist. It doesn't. So I am asking Treasury, in their capacity of their oversight role to departments, to ensure that public participation becomes part of every department's program more seriously. You cannot dump a 14-department book on the table in front of us when you present budgets. Nobody has an insight into it. Nobody has seen it. At municipalities, there's a month opportunity for people to comment. They can comment and then it gets, what happens here? Nothing. Public participation, please. Citizenry centered, you say. It's no secret. Now I want to ask you something about local government and what you say, how local government fools people about their audit opinions. I want to read something to you. This is a report of a municipality. During the audit of the appointment of a service provider for the provision of debt collection The municipality did not have a strategy or policy for outsourcing services to consultants or contractors or service providers. The municipality does not have a strategy or policy indicating the processes determining when services can be outsourced. And then the management doesn't agree with the Auditor General. The municipality did not conduct...
I'm sorry to have to interrupt you, but if you could finish your sentence, your time is up. I've just been alerted by the table staff.
And all the noise that they were making, Chair.
No, that's not included, Member Bierwinkel. Thank you.
Speaker, this whole... if I just finish with... I just want to use these 2 pages.
I've given you leeway to finish your sentence, Member Bierwinkel.
Most of what is here is findings by the Auditor General where processes and policies and SEM prescripts were not followed. Then it says, we are extremely proud of maintaining this excellent record of a clean audit. Bearing in mind all the things that are in here. What is a clean audit?
Time to finish up, Member Bierwinkel. Your time has expired.
The statements are free from material misstatements. It's a total mess happening in local government. Treasury, please pay more attention to what's happening in local government. But thank you very much anyway. For over the years, what you have done for me as a person to grow in my understanding, in my financial growth, in my understanding of how a budget is put together and what's in it and where it comes from and where it goes to. I am eternally grateful to you, all of you and those behind the scenes who are not here today. Please express my gratitude to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Bierwinkel. So the Chief Whip won't have to say it. I will say in the absence of the EFF and the ACDP, I now see the Honourable the Minister, Minister Mayor.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you for the participation in this debate, Vote 3, but I would like to thank the Premier for giving me this opportunity to serve in this position as both the Minister of Finance and the Minister of International Relations. I have learned a lot under her leadership and want to thank her for this opportunity to serve in her executive. The Provincial Treasury is central in the financial governance architecture of this government. Under most difficult circumstances, this Cabinet, each member, worked well to keep the fiscal line and protect the Provincial Revenue Fund. Because of the skills and the competencies of the Provincial Treasury and the Budget Office, we are able to hand over to the next Premier a stable and a balanced budget. This budget of 2019-20 will allow you to continue on 9 May 2019, the day after the election. This Cabinet executed the Good Financial Governance Declaration and the Good Fiscal Framework. Premier, none of your ministers have or will appear at the Zondo Commission. I want to thank the head official, Mr. Hussein, the DDG Fiscal and Economic Services, Mr. Harry Malila, Jolinda Cantana, and the acting DDG, Mr. Isaac Smith, and the Provincial Accountant General, Mr. Aziz Hardin, and all the senior managers in the Provincial Treasury. I've also met this morning, Madam Speaker, with the CEO and the chairperson of the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board, and I also want to thank them for promoting good financial governance within the Gambling Board. Thank you also for increasing our domestic resource mobilization to almost 3 billion rand here in the Western Cape. I'd also like to thank all the accounting officers in this whole of this government and the public entities and all the CFOs of both the government departments and in the Western Cape and in the entities for good financial governance. Die begroting pos 3, provinsiale tesourie is 'n bewys van die omvattende voortgesette ondersteuning vir die programme om finansiële regeerkunde van 'n hoë standaard te handhaaf. Dit geld nie alleen vir goeie regeringsmaatstawwe in die provinsiale regering en sy openbare entiteite nie, maar waar ons betrokke is by ander regeringsvlakke, hou ons by die voorskrifte en poog om in alle opsigte finansiële regeerpraktyke van 'n hoë gehalte te lewer. In hierdie opsig is ons opleidingsprogramme besig om 'n nuwe pool van jong finansiële kundiges te lewer. Daardeur verstrek ons die finansiële kundigheid oor 'n breë terrein en dit vorm 'n belangrike skakel in ons strewe om die openbare finansiële bestuurswetgewing nauwgezet maar sinvol toe te pas. Op die wyse bou ons in die Wes-Kaap daaraan om die regstaat verder te versterk. Agbare Spreker, my spesiale dank ook aan die voorsitter van die begrotingskomitee en voorsitter van die staande komitee oor finansies, meneer Dennis Josephs, as al die lede van sy komitee, beide kante, kan nie veel praat van die twee lede wat nie hier is nie. Hulle het geen bydrae gelewer nie. Dankie, ek het wel 'n bydrae gekry uit die oppositie en baie dankie daarvoor. Dankie ook vir die erkenning dat die DA eendag die nasionale regering sal wees. Ek waardeer dit, dis op die rekord van die handsaak. En ook dankie aan al die lede van die onderskeie komitees vir die wetgewende oorsig wat u gedoen het. Die lede van die kabinet respekteer belastingbetalers se geld. Dankie vir almal se insette.
Thank you, Minister Mayor. That concludes the debate on this vote. The House will be suspended to allow the administration to vacate and the next team to come in. Thank you very much.